So, did you eventually reach your destination?
So there'd been this tiny village marked on the map, and so we'd been, and there was a small jeep track that comes across from China to this village that had recently been built as a bit of a easier trade route. So we'd been our first kind of waypoints, which we'd set ourselves in our mind, was just get to this jeep track. Maybe it's open. Maybe there's been traffic going along it. So by day 2.5. Is it 2.5? Three. We made it to this jeep track, and just realized that there was absolutely no chance. I mean, there was a snowdrift as high as my head. We realized that nothing was coming through there, and that was a bit of a low point on that day. And then realizing, okay, well, we've just got to keep slogging through this deep snow. And then by day 5, we kind of got to the top of this pass, and there were these beautiful Buddhist prayer flags. It was the kind of first sign of kind of humanity civilization we'd seen in a while. So that was a really kind of exciting moment. But then what we realized at the top of the pass was we should have been able to see the village we were heading to down in the valley below, and we couldn't see it. So that was kind of these questions start playing over in your mind. Well, where's the village?
Is there a village?
Is there a village even? And that had really that idea of getting to that village, the possibility of a warm fire, some warm food, some people even, had been what was really kind of drawing us along, and then it just wasn't there. But then fortunately, about half an hour, we saw some small black dots. There were some yaks that were moving across the kind of valley below. We're like, okay, there's something, there is life down there, and if there's yaks moving through, they'll be clearing a trail. We can walk through the yak trail, so it'll at least make our walking easier.
And that was a good moment, like seeing your first sign of like animals, humans, far, far in the distance, but we're getting out.
So there's a lot of kind of Tibetan herders that live up in those mountains, and we then realized in the valley below, we started seeing a couple more of them, and they were all just heading down the valley, out, and we're like, okay, well, maybe they know something we don't know. There's another storm coming. So that was again the pressure of like, keep moving. And then that afternoon, we made it to one of these small Tibetan herders' tents in their camps, and they kind of really invited us in for tea, and it was amazing. This kind of beautiful old tents, people who've been living in the same way for hundreds of years, and so hospitable and generous, just kind of giving us, warm tea off a cup of tea and just feeding us. And at that point, Rosie got quite emotional.
I was about to ask Rosie, how did you feel at that point?
Yeah, I think that was so you were saying about panicking or worrying, there was the underlying sense, but it was just like a very pragmatic. We just had to get out, but at that moment, so we just we come in and there's like yaks all around, this beautiful tent, and we're sitting in cross-legged at a fire all of a sudden from the snow, drinking Tibetan tea, and it was just that moment, and I started crying. I think they thought I was a bit crazy. Like, we just gave you tea.